I'm looking through my old, oh my God, like seriously, like old books. I'm like,
I need to
it's
make
the only
one
one
of
I
those.
found because I have stuff in boxes that I was like, I know I have at least one album somewhere.
Me and you both. My life is always in boxes, and then half the time we don't even unpack when we get to whichever
I
places.
know. So this one actually was in the office with like our office stuff. So that's the only reason it got unpacked.
Hello, everyone. This is Christine from Sweetheart, and today we are interviewing Nancy about her untold New Kids stories, cute stories that have happened throughout history, and getting her inside look. So, welcome.
Hi, Christina. So happy to be here.
Awesome. Yeah,
Which
I
is
have a
crazy.
bunch of photo albums, not for New Kids, but just photo albums. Like
Yeah,
now,
back when we used to do
people
that.
don't even have photo albums.
Like I haven't looked at these tickets in so long. It's so funny. But so do you want to just go down like where it started and then
Yes.
kind of like
So where it all began, and then we went to Fenway.
I gotcha. It's like Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. I'm like looking at these ticket stubs.
See, I never went to one of those, but yes, it was amazing. I saw it, but I just never.
Do you see that?
Oh my gosh, you're right there.
Mark. Yeah, look. It's even better. Look.
Yeah, you're like, and then he has no shirt on. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh.
He was so cute. Well, he's still cute.
Oh, this is, I love this.
So
look at this picture. This is the best. See, that's Donnie grabbing his butt.
Oh, what? He was there? Okay, never mind. He produced him, right? So he was probably there.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So Donnie was there. And then, oh, yeah, these are like the best. Look at these.
I can't tell what that. Oh, he's leaning down like.
Gotta get rid of the glare.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I know, yeah. These are all Marky Mark. So funny. I was trying to remember, like, who came first, the chicken or the egg? Who came first, Mark?
No. It was New Kids first, yeah. But
anyway, but yeah. So I don't remember. It's so funny because I'm trying to remember. I'm looking at these pictures. This was '93, so it was probably around '92. I think that it all started because these pictures are dated and they have this '93.
So start us off with when you found out about New Kids, or like the first time you heard, a song.
Definitely, I think the first time was junior high school. So that would have been, oh God, I feel so old.
No.
Probably like 91-ish, 92-ish time frame when I first heard, the Hanging Tough album, because I think that's the first real radio play that I heard. Would have been Hanging Tough. I know they had the previous one, but I hadn't heard that.
Where were you?
Like in New York. I was.
Okay, so
this was in New York. I was born and raised New York City, New York, Midtown Manhattan, and I was. It was junior high, probably sixth grade, and I remember hearing it, and I was like, "Who is this?" Just like everybody else, I'm like, "Who's this?" And then I saw the pictures, and I was like, "Who is that?"
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't hear it on the radio. I probably did hear it, but I didn't know who it was. But my friends got me into it, and then they said, pay attention to the radio because you'll hear the songs. And then I had never really seen the poster yet or anything, and then that's when I was like, yeah, who's that?
See, well, it's funny because I didn't hear it on the radio. Now it was a boy, which is crazy. A boy in junior high school had the cassette tape.
Yes,
he had the
same with me. Well, I heard it on the radio, but the first person in my school class, our class, it was a boy who had the single, and it was a tape.
He liked them, and he kind of introduced me to them, and then from then on, it was like every, what is it? Oh God, Big Bopper magazine that I could get my hands on. Was it Big Bopper? I think that's what it was called, right?
Yeah,
It was like Big Bop, Big Bopper,
Teen
where you would
Beat,
pull the pictures
Tiger
out
Beat.
of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then slowly, that kind of grew.
Uh-huh.
And then it got to the point that literally my room, it was the ceiling, the walls, every inch of space that could be covered was covered. Like every inch of space was covered.
I didn't do that. I only did like my door and like, I guess like in the front of my room, people had a lot of stuff, but I didn't have like my whole room. I had like a spot.
No,
like
I had
for them,
like
the stuff.
I could afford to do that because it was like what, $2 for a magazine, so that was cheap, but it was, I think it was years, or it was a while longer before I like ever went to like a concert or anything like that, because I couldn't really afford to do anything like that. We didn't grow up with a lot of money, so my concerts was when I was 14, 15 years old, so I didn't know anything about that. But I ended up, every concert that I went to as a teenager, I won the tickets on a radio station.
What?
That's the only way I was going. That was the only way I was going. That was the only way. We couldn't afford to go. And even though, like, look, I had like old ticket stubs, and they were like $25, which really now hindsight, right? But they were like $25, $30, but we didn't have $25, $30 extra for me to go gallivanting, to a concert.
But so the fact that you won,
that's twice, like amazing. 2 or 3 times, because I saw them in Madison Square Garden, and then I saw them at Giant Stadium for the summer tour when they did the stadium tour. Okay. And it's funny because, let's see, for Madison Square Garden, I actually called in. So I actually called in for the tickets, and then won. And I took one of my neighborhood friends, school friends, with me. And I remember that because, it was so much fun. But then for the Giant Stadium, there was a contest where you had to go down to South Street Seaport in New York and get on a stage and freeze dance. So they would play music and then freeze. So you had to freeze. So, so it was down to me and this other girl, right? It was down to me and this other girl. And I lost to this girl, but I'll tell you what happened. The girl and it was her sister, and I think her parents there. And they were super sweet, and they already had tickets to the concert. So then they ended up winning another pair. So they were like, we have an extra ticket, if you want to come with us, you can come. So I had literally just met them, and they came all the way from New Jersey and picked me up. And the fact that my mom let me go with these strangers is beyond me. But back then, that's what you did. So they picked me up, and we went to New Jersey, and we went to the concert, and it was amazing. Isn't that crazy?
No, that is beyond, because wow. Yeah.
The kindness of, because they didn't have to do that, so they had an extra ticket. So they didn't try to sell it to me. They just said, do you want to come with us? We have an extra ticket. Yeah. So it was super sweet, And then from that point on,
I thought you were going to say they still gave you a consolation ticket.
I know. Here's your t-shirt. No.
Oh, yeah. That's so good.
But that started my, I don't want to call it an obsession.
Right. Your fandom.
Yes, exactly. Because from that point on, I started just meeting people and that were, into the same thing I was, yes. And we started, we had beepers back then. We didn't have cell phones. I think we had pagers, right? We had beepers, right?
We did, yes.
We had beepers. So we started communicating.
My family said, don't call it a beeper. Call it a pager. And I was like, it's a beeper.
I know.
They're like, that's what drug dealers call it.
And you remember?
Call it a beeper. I'm like, it is a beeper. Parents.
And you would turn it upside down, and they would call me, because you could turn up the numbers upside down.
Yeah.
And then we knew, and then I don't even know what the specifics was that started it all, because from that point on, we knew where they were. Plus, their I don't know if it was their label or their record company was on 57th Street in New York, so we knew where that was. So we would literally go and camp out and sit in front of there when we knew they were going to be in the city, and we would sit and spend hours and hours and countless hours in there. And there was another building where there were rumors that John had an apartment. I know we were totally stalkerish. Like hindsight's 2020. Like please forgive me. Like I would kill someone if they did that to me now. But we were young and dumb and we didn't know. So we sat there for hours, and we think John had an apartment. There was the rumor. I don't know, but he always came out of this building. As a matter of fact, that's where like we got these pictures of John. Can you see? I don't know if you can see. Yeah.
So he was there.
He was. See, like, says, oh, this one you can't really tell, but that's John down there.
And okay, then you need to send me these.
They're light, so yeah.
Pop them up.
Yeah. What I can do is like send them to you so you get better quality. So you can like, yeah. So then we have pictures of John, and then and then they would always do this telethon. It was the cerebral palsy telethon.
Okay.
And it was open admission. So you could go in and you just had to stand online for it.
Oh, what? They had like an audience. Okay.
Yes, in the audience. So we would stand online and we would go in, and I want to say it was like every hour or so, they would like cycle through the audience. So like a bunch of people would go out, and then like the new group would come in, and you'd sit there and watch them do their thing. But then you didn't know if they were going to be on that hour or not. So it was literally however long the telethon was. No, because they were only on certain segments. You had no idea what segment it was going to be. So
did you make it to one of their segments?
Yes. Well, after 2 days, I would hope so, because we literally would like leave and get back in line.
Oh yeah, right. I know, but could you imagine if like you were there for theirs and you're like, wow, I just did it how many times and like I didn't make it to one of theirs.
And then we would know like what hotel. They stayed at I still have the room key that I stayed at.
So how did people back then know how to like communicate that? Because back then it was like you really like there's no social media, there's no like you don't have cell phones to be like, hey, I'm over here.
It was all via phone or pager or whatever, and how we knew where they were going to be. It was like the telephone. So they used to stay at the Regal Royal in New York a lot. So we had one of the girls that I was friends with. They were going to rent us a room, right? So her mom would go in and rent the room for us. So her mom went in and rented the room for us, and we really didn't see them. But since we were there all night, the mom would go and rent the room, and we would be lucky enough to, stay in the same hotel. Yeah. So we would stay at the same hotel, and then we would stand outside, and we would wait for them to come in and out, and and freeze, especially in New York, because when this is wintertime, we're talking about like 20-degree weather.
Yeah.
And we would stand out there for hours.
You saw no, because that's so exciting, because you saw them in their gloriousness back in the heyday. Like, I saw them one time, in concert.
Yeah.
But that was the close-up I ever saw them in person up close.
Oh, no.
In the one concert, and it was Magic Summer, and it was the Baby I Believe in You, and I died. Like, because that, I was so young, but I was like, that's the closest I'm ever going to get. Like, I didn't live in New York or, like, Boston, like, I lived in California. So, like, how they do now where they have, like, the screen is showing.
Yeah.
And you can see. Okay.
You could see this,
I was close enough. I went to the Oakland Coliseum, and I was close enough to actually, like, watch the stage. I couldn't remember if there was, like, screens. And
I think we had screen out. I think when I went, we had screen, but I think I could also see them on stage.
Okay.
So I could see, I'm pretty sure.
So what did you think when Jordan performed Baby I Believe in You?
Oh my God. Like, I don't even, listen, I was just a mess that entire concert. So I couldn't even pinpoint like one specific song, because the entire thing, I had no voice by the time I left that show.
Yeah, I couldn't hear. We were singing the whole time, but of course, I didn't know, nowadays you don't know what they're going to sing, but like,
oh my God. Yeah. Every time he sang any song, I was just like, of course.
No. And then back then, of course, there's no media, there's no social media, so you don't know, or I'm saying, you don't know how they're going to perform it, is what I should say. Yeah. And so when he came out and did that performance, which is like the most epic performance of like when he does that song, that was the tour. That was like, the song. And I'm saying that was the one that like because he's done it since then. But that tour is when like people reference that when he performed it. Yeah, I was starting crying. Like I was crying. And I just was like, oh my gosh, like what is happening here? Like the hair and the wind and the you know, the abs. And I was just
describe it.
I was only crying because at back then, Magic Summer, I was only crying because I realized that he was a celebrity at that moment. Like before I knew I knew them, but I always thought, oh, they're a regular person. Oh, I'll find them one day and get to meet them or see them or something and talk to them or whatever. And then at that moment I realized he's a celebrity. I'm never gonna meet him. He's like my idol at the time. You know, like him and Mariah Carey. I was like, they're like my idol at the time.
So it like put him on a pedestal that he hadn't been on.
And then when I saw him do Baby I Believe in You, which I love that song. Just love that song. But I was like, wow, he's like a celebrity. So I was just crying like it was like the loss. Like my like childhood dream loss. That's what it was. Were you there for that in person? You know,
but you know what? I think because I was so young.
I'm like we're all at the concert, and of course these are like celebrities. Like because I was too young, I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
At the time,
because we would have been like for me, I think I was maybe 14, 15, probably 14, maybe. Mm-mm. Yeah, like what year was that? 93. I don't even know. Yeah,
but I was just like, this guy is like a rock star. Like he had the wind, you know. And I was just like,
that's right. With the what was the white shirt? I think it was like the white shirt,
right? the fan, and then the abs, and I was just like, because at the time I wasn't like into like guys' bodies yet. I was still like, oh, do they have a cute face? And then then you see the abs, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's like almost naked. Because I was like, you know, there's teenagers there, so there's like you know young adults there, but I was a kid, and so. Of course, all of them were like, oh my gosh. But I was like, he's like not dressed, you know? But he's like my idol. He's like a rock star.
I was so young, though. I'll tell you what. I think I was so young that I was starstruck by the entire show.
I was. No, I was.
I'll tell you. You know what's funny? The one moment in all of this craziness, for me, the one moment that was the kind of like gut punch, I don't know how to describe it, was Fenway. And it was the opening number at Fenway.
I tried not to cry. I cry.
I know. Because first of all, okay, number one, Greatest Showman, my favorite movie ever. Right. Mine and my kids, we watch it literally at least once or twice a month. Like, it's our favorite song.
They know all the songs,
When that came out and I saw what was happening, it took me a minute and I was like, is this really like happening? And it was so emotional that I was like, it was so hard for me to put into words the feeling I had to be at Fenway to hear like that opening number, then to see the fireworks and to hear just, it was because
the way
and I posted this on one of Donnie's things, and I said, you know, it was talking about that they're coming home, but it was like I felt like I was too.
Yeah,
you know, having been away for so long, and it was just a culmination of so many different years of following them and being a fan, and it was perfect. It was absolute. That opening number will always be in my mind my absolute favorite moment at any concert.
Yes, no, it is. It is. But Joe is also a rock star, and he did well. He did so well at Merriweather and Fenway, and then his own show. And my daughter is like, he is like so good. Like he's such a good performer. Like he gets so 100%. Into it.
100%. Well, you said he was great in Vegas, right? He was really good.
And she was there, so she's like, because before she was still like Donnie, you know, she loves Donnie, but I'm just saying she is into the way how Joe gets so into it and like performs. Like he's just so like dramatic and like you know how he is. But she loves him because she like wants to be a singer. So she's like, oh my gosh, Joe is like a rock star, you know? And I was like, yes, he loves it, you know, he loves to perform.
He does, and his son, oh my goodness, at Fenway, how awesome was that?
I know. And we at Merriweather they didn't do that. So when she found out like Griffin came for that, she was like, "Oh man, like I wasn't there for that one." Yeah, I just wanted to talk to you about Magic Summer. Anytime I find out someone was like there in real life, in person, and saw that show, you know, not on YouTube, you know, really was there for it. So I'm like, okay, what did you think, you know?
And it was crazy, like, and it's so funny because I think about it now, and I'm like, my mother actually let me go, and but you know what? I had a conversation with her, you know, years later about it. I'm like, why? And it was a different time, even though it was New York City, it was a different time. It's not what it is now, so it was a different time. And she's like, you know what? You could have been doing worse.
Right.
She knew where I was. She knew I wasn't doing anything bad, you know. So she was okay with it because I wasn't doing anything crazy, you know. So it was innocent. It was totally innocent. So she was fine.
And then had met up with like the same people, like you knew them and had made friendships.
Exactly.
So
it was
you
the
guys
same
were
group.
together. Okay.
Yep. It was the same group. And then we started taking, as the years went by, we started taking trips to Boston. So we would take trips to Boston. We knew, of course, we'd camp out in front of their houses like ding dongs, you know. And and we never saw them. Never. I saw Danny. That's about it. I saw Danny.
Okay.
Yeah. Like we saw Danny playing softball because a friend knew a friend who said, so we went and we saw Danny playing softball. Dorchester. It was crazy. Like we'd go for the weekend and stuff. And then we'd hang out with the Funky Bunch because this is years ago. Imagine Mark and Funky Bunch, right? So we'd hang out with the Funky Bunch. We knew them; they were more accessible, so it was totally different. It was
so when
totally
you saw
different
Danny at the softball, did he come up to you like to the fence?
Yeah, he didn't. Like... We did hi bye kind of thing. Yeah, because it was a friend through a friend of a friend kind of thing. So yeah, but it was. I mean, hi, kind of. You know,
it wasn't like you got a picture with him and like.
No, not then. No, we didn't have. I don't even know. God, we didn't have cell phones back then, and we weren't walking around with a camera because I didn't want to be like that.
I always.
I know, but still, they're like, "You're gonna go." No, because it was like James playing softball or baseball, whatever it was, and then I didn't want to be like, "Oh, you know, fangirl," you know. So I was like, "Okay, we'll just be." It'll just be. It's imprinted in my memory.
Right. So the Funky Bunch tried to like have me on their YouTube. But it was
they still around?
Yes. And like but it like the connection because I had to call in and then they were like live and like all these things. I couldn't hear a word they were saying. It was so staticky, but yet I was on the phone and I was just like, I don't know what's going on, but I couldn't hear that they were asking me questions. I couldn't tell what I was like, okay, I gotta get off. But I didn't want to be like, okay, like hang up. So I was trying to say rude, like, I can't hear you, like, but they could hear me. So I was like, okay, if you can hear me, I'm getting off because I cannot hear anything, and this is live.
Realized they were still around. That's so
I don't know if they were.
The craziest thing, I'll tell you what, the craziest thing that happened during that like super early time frame was that I got fired. So I was and I was 15. When I was 15, I used to work at the Gap in Times Square in New York, right? So I ended up calling out so like back to back because we were standing outside the hotel. I was like, I don't even remember. I said I was sick, but by like the third time I called out, it was like, if you don't come in, you're fired. And I literally got fired for standing out. I told you we were dumb. Like we were so dumb.
You're like, I'm still dependent on my parents, so
yeah, thanks, you kids. I got fired. Thank you. No, I did. I really did. I mean, that was one of my first jobs. I worked for the Gap, and I got the boot because of New Kids on the Block.
Yeah. So, right. See,
that's my story. Yeah. So then, years went by, and I think the last time, after that they did Face the Music. Remember on Face the Music, and they did like the club tours. They were doing super small venues. I'm pretty sure. God, I'm trying to remember.
I had already moved on to Jodeci and like other people, like Boyz II Men and ABC, BBD, all that.
I think it was. I'm looking back. General Admission Orchestra. This was. I'm pretty sure because they did like. I'm pretty sure it was Face the Music where they did like small club. They went to up and down the East Coast because I went to like Boston, Philly, and we would stand outside. So they were like they were smaller venues, and then they would do like CD signings after and stuff. Oh my God, and I got in a fight in one of them.
Like, what was it? A CD signing or like like which one was it?
It was at the show. It was at the show. And it was, I want to say it was in Philly. I think it was Philly. Well, I know these were not my proudest moments. Can you tell? Like seriously, these were definitely not my proudest moments. Like I'm like,
I've
what
seen
happened?
fights.
Never ever. That was like the one time in my life. But it was because it was general admission, there weren't any seats.
Oh.
So we had, I remember there was this girl in front of us who had a sign. And we kept telling her, can you please put your sign? Because we couldn't see.
No.
So needless to say, it escalated. And I don't know what happened where she like hit us with the sign or what. And it just turned into a huge fight. But she got kicked out and we did it because they saw that she was the one that was causing this whole big ruckus.
And like
right? What's funny, no, I'll tell you what's funny is I think it was the next day at the CD signing, Donnie was like, weren't you the one that got into the fight at the show last night? And
you're like, yes, but I was just defending myself.
Oh, like we all saw that, and I was like, I was defending myself. Like it was
right.
But the bouncer saw it. Yeah, so that was not one of my prouder moments.
For them to recognize you.
Yeah, as the one that had a fight. Isn't that
you're like,
class, keeping it classy. Yeah,
yes,
not one of my more prouder moments. Huh?
You're like, yes, it was me. Oh my god.
No, I was.
But I was defending myself.
I felt so bad.
Oh,
but anyway,
I'm saying because they recognized you is what I'm saying, like that part.
yeah, the fact that I know, yeah, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize. Well, I mean, because we were like four rows back,
okay,
so we were right there. So, and then the bouncers like pulled her out and stuff, and because they knew that they kicked her out because she was the one that started everything. Mm-hmm. So it was obvious they could see that. So, yeah, but definitely, like I said, not one of my prouder moments. But I've never had anything like that happen again. So, like, I swear. But yeah. So then that was Face the Music, and then from there, I don't even know what happened. Like it just kind of faded away. They broke up, and it just kind of faded. And I went to school. I joined the army. I left. Mm-hmm. I was gone for years. And then when they came back, I literally had just gotten out of the army and stuff, and I had my son, and it just, the timing was off. And I would hear that they were kind of back together, and I was like, oh, okay, but I was having a family and stuff. So
yeah,
I just didn't have the means to start over again as much as I wanted to,
Well, I only knew about the reunion, and then I didn't know that had continued every other summer, and then the cruise every year.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Me neither. Nope,
like I wasn't
neither did I.
following it or whatever. I didn't know. And when they did the reunion, I was pregnant out to here, so I didn't want to go. When they came to my city, I was pregnant out to here, so I didn't want to go. Almost gonna have a baby when they came to my city. I was due around that time, and I don't know if I told you this, but I didn't tell you today, but I'm just saying I ran into a girl at Target and she had the concert t-shirt on, and I said, oh my gosh, I was gonna go because I never see anyone with New Kids stuff on. And I said, oh my gosh, I was gonna go. You went to that? Like, how was it? And she was like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. I said, I was gonna go, but I was pregnant out to here. And she goes, I was pregnant and I went. And I was like, you did? And she's like, I still went. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I had my baby with me. And she was like, I still went. And I was like, she's like, oh, it was so awesome because it's like the reunion. And I'm like, I know, but I couldn't go.
I was 6 months pregnant and I went to a Keith Urban concert. So I've got to.
It was due date time. And then I was like, I had never been to a concert as an adult. So I was like, how is it going to be? Like, I didn't really know. And then by the time, I think they still had VIP left too. But, which was weird because like today, what was that last week? Like there's no, but there was a lot of VIP left. So I was like, yeah, if I go, I'll do VIP. But I was like, I can't, like that's right when I'm due. And when I did go as a child back in the day, it was the Magic Summer Tour. And someone brought me. My parents didn't buy me a ticket. Someone took me and like I didn't have to pay and whatever. So like my parents never bought me like the bed sheets and the things.
No, me neither. Oh goodness.
Like they bought me other stuff, but they didn't buy me like everything. And so when, you know, concert tickets, they're like, no, you know, like,
Yeah, seriously. And that, yeah, like, what? No, I
yeah, like if
agree.
I
Yeah.
want them on the radio station, probably, yeah, they'd be like, okay, yeah, whatever. Or if someone's taking me, yeah, whatever.
Mhm.
But for them to
Yeah,
buy
it's
it, they're
different.
like, no, like, what?
Mhm.
Like, you're a
Yeah,
child.
so for me, it wasn't until, let's see, so, and then I heard about the cruise, and only because I saw the TV show, and I
Yeah.
thought
Well,
that
I
was
didn't
like
see the TV show,
staged. I
but
didn't
yeah, the
realize
TV
this
show.
was like a real cruise. I thought this was like they got people on, I didn't know. So I was like, well,
You're
wait,
like, you
what?
do this every
As of
year?
course, years
What?
later, hindsight,
I
I didn't
know.
know that I could have been going to this cruise however many years
All
ago. I
these
had no
years. Yeah.
idea. Plus, nobody in my current circle at that time
Mm-hmm.
liked them anymore. And I had completely lost touch with all the girls from New York way back when, because when I joined the army, I left New York.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't keep in touch with a lot of people that liked them and that we did the whole, stalking thing.
Right. Have you
So,
found them
you know,
now?
so I had to go by myself
You
again.
need to
Huh?
find them. You need to find them. That
I
would
know,
be
I have
so
no idea.
funny.
I couldn't even tell you what their last names are. I couldn't
You
even
just
tell
know
you
the
what their
first
last
name.
names are. I have their pictures, like random pictures, and like a
That's
milk carton.
so,
I have their
that would
pictures
be
in my album.
so
Like,
funny
yeah,
though. Like if we found
yeah,
them. But
I know. So then I'm
like,
like, yeah.
yeah,
So then
same.
I
Same. All my friends, like,
years
they
later,
like
huh?
I'm saying same, like all my friends weren't like, oh, you know, following the reunion, you know, they didn't know. And then the people that they were into were like 98 Degrees, In Sync, you know,
Yes,
like
yes,
the people
yes,
that they were kind of remembering. And but I was like, no, I'm more like into New Kids because that was like my first, I guess, group that I really followed and I really liked.
yes.
So I was like,
Yeah, me too.
In Sync, yeah, okay. Even
I
though I
never
love
got
them.
into
Well, I
I
love
never
them,
got into
but
like NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. I liked them, but it was completely different.
right, me too. Yeah,
it was a different vibe. It was a completely different vibe. So
yeah, and
it was
then
totally different.
Backstreet, I don't like as much as In Sync. So, like,
Me
remember when
too.
they
Me too.
did
Same here. I'm not
the
a big
thing,
Backstreet fan. Yeah.
and then they're gonna
Yep.
do it this
Same.
summer too, and I keep forgetting what date I have my ticket for because it's like the random ticket. No, because when I went to go put my dates in yesterday, whatever day I was doing the dates, it was like near one of the dates that I had Backstreet Boys, and I said, okay, I'm not doing that show because I have to be here for they're coming
Yeah.
here. So I was like, oh, okay, I won't do that. But yeah, I was trying to look for any dates that had the VIP left, and and supposedly I have VIP.
You know how that all works.
Yeah, like supposedly I have VIP for Backstreet Boys, so I don't want to like go somewhere else when I have that. So I was like, okay, I'll do that because they're coming right here, like right at my house.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, okay,
Oh,
I'll
see,
do that. Yeah.
I wouldn't travel. Yeah, I
No.
wouldn't travel for that. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
Like,
yeah, and then last year for 2019, so 2019, I found out that they were going to be in DC because we were still in Maryland. Like I'm in Florida now, but I was in DC then.
Uh-huh.
And again, I'm like, should I go? Should I not? I was like, I want to go.
No, you
Nobody I knew wanted
you
to go. Nobody I knew wanted to go. So my realtor turned friend, she had texted me about something, and I was like, oh, I'm trying to figure out if I want to go to this New Kids concert. And she was like, wait, I'll go. So literally, we went and we got tickets. I think it was like the week before. The week before the show, we got tickets. We got lower bowl seats. It wasn't anything, but it was so much fun. And it brought me back to like why it was that I had fallen in love with them when I was 15 years old. And it was, the Blockheads were still the Blockheads, and it was just an absolutely just amazing, nostalgic time, and it brought all the feels back and goosebumps, and I was
that
like,
tour was
and then like John was right here, and that's where I'll have to show you the picture that I got with John, because he came into the crowd. And it was so funny because so I have those side by side pictures. I have a picture of John and I when I was 14 or 15, and then a side by side a picture of John and I, 30 something years later. And it's so funny because in both of these pictures, we're both looking at two different cameras. And I'm like, Lord, seriously, John.
You're like,
and I'm like, eventually I will meet John and we will look at the same camera because it was so funny.
Yeah.
So then we moved down here. Yeah. So then we moved down here to Jacksonville, to Florida. And again, I know nobody and no New Kids fans, but I was on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So I was on the Facebook groups, and then I just put this random post. I'm like, hey, does anybody, live in the Jacksonville area. We're new to the area. We don't know anybody. I would love to meet fellow blockheads. So we met up and it was amazing and I love them. And we've made this like instant blockhead connection, which is awesome.
It is.
And then they said they were going to Fenway, and I'm like, that would be amazing. And literally like a month and a half maybe before Fenway, I saw a post of somebody selling tickets to Fenway. And I don't know why something was like, get them.
Yeah.
And I literally said, I'm doing this. I told her I'll take them. I like booked a flight, booked hotel, and I just did a thing. I'm going to Boston. Yeah, so we went to Boston and had an amazing time, and that's where I met you.
Yay! No, I know. And then like when I found out you had been active duty and all that, like that was anytime I find out someone was military in general, like veteran,
yeah,
fine. But when I find out someone's active duty veteran, an instant we get each other. Like it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I gotcha.
When I found that out, I was like, oh my gosh, Nancy. But and then of course Jordan Girl, like, because usually with Jordan Girls too, like it's like an instant like understanding, like it's just like, oh yeah, it's Jordan, like.
But you know what's so funny, and I know you and I have talked about this, like, you would have asked me, 10 years ago, who was your favorite? I would have been like, oh, Jordan, that's it,
Oh yeah,
Jordan, but I think as we've gotten older, and I still love Jordan, don't get me, he was the one that I was like, who is that, when I was, 15 years old, that was instantly, but I think as I've gotten older and like I've realized that I love Jordan, but I have like a special place for all of them. They're to each their own. They all have this own little special place. Like I think we're all Donnie girls deep down because he's the captain, he's the glue that has held this madness together. So I think we all have a special place for Donnie because he's Donnie, But honestly, like I absolutely adore John. I think I'm so proud of everything he's done, like that he's being his authentic self, and I love it. Like I watched the behind the music and I was like gutted. I was like,
oh I know.
I hug him,
So good.
But I adore him, and I just adore him. So even though I'm a Jordan girl, I think I have a special place for all of them.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree and then he has this HGTV and it's like, I love it because he's so back then, shy. And so for him to have like a national television show, I mean, it's amazing. Well, he was on Amazing Race too. And so
yes. Just and my husband loves it. Like my husband and I watch Farmhouse. He loves it. My husband's like, I love the show,
Yes. And like, I'm so like proud of him. It's like, I love it. But yeah, Donnie, definitely, I get it. All of them, I get it, like totally. But Jordan, I don't know like I'm really a fan of his voice, like really big time. I don't know why. That voice, like only that voice, like I don't know. And then, but of course, I like all of them.
Yeah.
I went to go see Joe for his Vegas thing.
You did, that's right.
Yeah, but everyone, Joe Girls, they did like every single show. Like I'm not going to do every single show, but I'll go, support because I was in California. So I was like, okay, if it's any of them, if Danny's, anyone has something, I want to go support them because I don't want them to stop. I don't want them to ever stop again.
Exactly. We bought Danny's hot sauce and it is so good. It's really, really good.
Yeah,
I'm about to order a second bottle. My husband has used most of it, so he's like, we have to order more of this. Yeah. So it's funny. It's funny because when I met him, I kind of didn't tell him all of my, craziness for New Kids, So I've slowly like given him morsels of it, and he's like, what? So when I said I was going to Fenway, he's going like, you're going to do what? I'm like, So then now this new tour, right? And I said to him the other day, like, but before tickets went on sale, I said, when they announced, I said, July 8th and July 10th, I just want you all, I held a family meeting, and I said, July 8th and July 10th, I just want you all to know that I will be unavailable. And they're all like, why? I'm like, because the New Kids are coming to Jacksonville and Orlando, and I will be there. My husband goes, I will be too. And I was like,
Whatever.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about the concert, but I'm really, really hoping that we have at least one more cruise so that I can actually go on one. So that's my big, like, come on, please.
Yeah, so hopefully.
And now that I know that anybody can go.
Hopefully in February, if we're doing it, then it's going to be announced in February. And And then the other Boston date and the other Illinois date, they're going to announce it. And so if you're trying for another meet and greet or like VIP, then they're going to have either 2 more or 3. Last time they announced 3 dates.
At the end, towards the end?
No, like soon.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. I don't remember how soon it was, but it was like around the time that,
I'd go back to Boston. I love Boston. Like being from New York, we used to drive up to Boston 4 hours. So I love Boston. And any reason to go back to Boston, I'm like, yeah, I'm there. So I would definitely go back to Boston.
The only thing for me, because I lived there, but I don't.
Oh, that's right, you did.
Well, I just don't like. I lived there, and then like this last time we just went, and so if I can't get Illinois, I'm gonna try maybe Boston. But I really want to go to the Illinois show because that's where the New Kids on the Block Wahlburgers is. I want to go to that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes, and so that's what I'm just saying. Maybe because I already have enough. I don't need to do that. But I'd only do it like because I'm gonna do the other the Wahlburgers or whatever, go to that and like check it out and stuff.
I think if I could get like if they announced it and I ended up with an individual, then I would do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But if I didn't get an individual, then I wouldn't do it. Then I wouldn't do it.
No, and that's the thing too. I'm like, if I don't get like because I want a bar stool. But so you didn't even get Barstool? Or
no, because we're just to Orlando and we're just doing lower bowl. We just have regular seats, and then I'm doing the meet and greet at Jacksonville with my husband. But we're literally like 5-star. The T stage. We're the 3rd row, so we are right there. We've got great seats.
Yeah,
so,
I didn't get Barstool. I just
my husband was like, "I'll do Barstool." I was like, "Oh my goodness, no!" I'm like, "No." I was like, "We're okay where we're at."
Okay, my first Barstool. Well, my only Barstool. I had 2 men near me.
Well, in hindsight, I know that now.
Someone's has been here, and someone, it was a man, I don't know who it was, over here, like right there, like right by me, and then right by me right here. And that was Barstool, so I was like, I wasn't expecting that. But then also we had Tiffany and Debbie Gibson. So like, there was a lot of men at that. Yeah. Besides other tours, like there was more men at that. But like this time it's in Vogue, Salt and Pepper. So like they're women too. They're women groups. And then of course Rick. So maybe guys want to go to that too. Like, and then of course they love Donnie. So
yeah. Which is so funny. Yeah. I think it's awesome. I love it. I think it's awesome that he was like, I would stand next to Don. I was like, you're such a so
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's gonna have a blast though. So
yeah. So that's the only like thing that might be coming up. And then of course, if they announce the cruise, it's gonna be in February.
So when would it but if it's February and then what are you talking? March, April, May, June, July. So when would it sail though?
So when they announce
October?
Yes, that's when they do it for October. But when they did it for April, I think they announced it in October.
Yeah,
because I only went on one. So I'm definitely in the same feeling as you. I feel like I'm trying to make up for lost time. Like I just want
exactly. I don't want to miss. I feel like such a bad fan. I feel like such a bad fan. I'm like, they came back in 2008. I was like too busy with the family. What the hell?
I know. Well, I think it's true of a lot of women who were family oriented. Like they're like, they don't know, especially like if your immediate circle isn't doing that on a regular basis. Now that I have been starting it again, of course, like I hear about it all the time because the people I know now.
Yeah. And I think our kids are older, like even though my youngest is 5, but it's still that we don't have infants. So it's a little to be mobile.
Well, I have a 3-year-old still, but
6 months. So
oh my gosh. When I went on my cruise, my baby was 4 months old. I booked it when I was pregnant. But it's because I was scared it was the last cruise, and so far it has been the last
one. It has been, yeah. It's crazy.
I was like, number 10?
We'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
I know. They're amazing.
They are.
We love them because they're just so, I don't know. They're so relatable too. And then they're just so, I don't know. They just really, interact with the fans and stuff. So they're such.
I think because they're so, even though, I want to say they're so, I think it's because they're so approachable.
Yeah.
And because we've all grown up together, really. And we've all, gotten married, had families, and we've all just been through life and had, all the different stages of life, and they have too. And I think we've kind of done it with them, each stage, and then they left and they came back. And I think it makes it real. It's not like some, bands that like go away, never come back, but they've always stayed so humble. I think that's part of it.
Oh my
I
gosh,
think they've
Donnie,
always
yes,
stayed so true to who they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it, I think.
Definitely. And Donnie's so good about expressing and vocal or writing the things he writes and like expressing it. And the way he talks, and every time I'm just like, there's another guy who's like that too, Jared Leto. Like every time he talks, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so like eloquent. You're just like articulate. I just love him. He's just like, wow. Well, I also loved his show back then, My So-Called Life.
My So-Called Life,
But I'm not, he's still a fantastic, the way he just is, his charisma and just the way he talks. Yeah, that's Donnie,
Yeah. And I think and it's just so real. At least, when you look at, like, for me, like Donnie, John, maybe there are two, like, that you could see yourself sitting down, having a cup of coffee and just having a conversation with. And I think that just makes them it's just real. They're just real. Like, what you see is what you get,
Yeah. No.
And I think that's probably why we love them so much.
That's why I'm like, if, like, say whoever, friend doesn't understand, I'm just like, that's because you don't know. Like, they don't know, or they haven't seen what we have seen. So of course they're not going to get it. Or like,
exactly.